Welcome to my channel. Today we are going to do a full summary and recap of Stranger Things, Netflix Season 1. So if you have not seen the series or are in need of a refresher, then this is the video for you. Fair warning though, there will be spoilers. So if you've seen the series and want to keep it spoiler-free, then don't click this video. But with that warning out of the way, let's get started. Stranger Things is a science fiction horror series created by the Duffer Brothers that follows a group of friends as they seek their friend who went missing in the small, fictional town of Hawkins, Indiana in the early 1980s. Soon they find out that there are some sinister forces at work in their town that they'll have to face if they want to see their friend again. Season 1 starts off by introducing us to the main character of the show, Will Byers. Will lives in Hawkins, Indiana with his mother and his older brother, who has recently been acting distant towards his family. On Will's birthday, he and his friends Mike, Dustin, and Lucas are playing Dungeons and Dragons when Will decides to go home because he's not feeling well. That night, while Will is asleep, something mysterious enters through his window and takes him away. The next morning, Will is nowhere to be found, and his mom, Joyce, frantically calls the police to report him missing. As Joyce goes to the police station to file a missing persons report, she runs into Hopper, the chief of police, who isn't very helpful at first, but eventually agrees to help her find her son. Meanwhile, Will's three friends go off on their own to search for him after hearing nothing from the police. As they search, they come across a girl in the woods who tells them her name is Elle and says that she knows where Will is. The children bring Elle back to Mike's house where they take care of her and try to feed her food she's never had before, like pizza. Elle reveals that she was being held captive in a lab and experimented on. She also told them that she can sense where Will is and wants to go help him. The children agree, and the four of them set off into the woods to find Will. After traveling into the woods, Mike and the others soon realize that Elle is actually stronger than she appears, and she uses her powers to lead them to an underground facility. As they sneak into the building, they come across several scientists, some of whom recognize Elle and try to capture her. After escaping, they're soon confronted by a Demogorgon, which is what took Will in the first place. Elle ends up sacrificing herself so that the boys can escape, and Will's mom finds out that the government is behind her son's disappearance. Hopper sneaks into the same facility where Will was taken and is almost killed by the Demogorgon, but Elle comes back and saves him. Together, they destroy the machine that creates the portal to another dimension where the Demogorgon lives. Just as it seems like everything is going to be okay, Joyce is nearly killed by a Demodog, which is a smaller version of the Demogorgon. Luckily, Hopper saves her life. In the end, Will is brought home, and everyone acts like nothing happened in Hawkins. However, at the very last scene, we see that Joyce's house was never really the same since Will came home, because Will's alternate dimension doppelganger is now living in his home. Now let's talk about some of the characters in Stranger Things. We'll start with Will Byers, who is one of the main characters of the show. Will is a sweet and intelligent boy who is really into Dungeons and Dragons. He's also a bit sensitive since he's always been treated like the baby of the family because of his younger sister. Will is portrayed by Noah Schnapp. Next is Joyce Byers, Will's mom, who is probably the strongest parent on the show. Joyce is fierce and protective of her son and doesn't take no for an answer when she's trying to get the police to help her find him. Joyce is portrayed by Winona Ryder. Let's move on to Mike Wheeler, who is another one of the main characters and one of Will's best friends. Mike is brave and confident, and he's the leader of the group of kids. He also likes Elle and is really drawn to her innocence and purity. Mike is portrayed by Finn Wolfhard. Moving on, we have Eleven, also known as Elle, who is another main character on the show. She's a girl with psychokinetic and telepathic abilities who escaped from a laboratory where she was held captive and experimented on. She's really smart and resourceful, and she becomes friends with Mike and the other kids. Elle is portrayed by Millie Bobby Brown. Next, we have Hopper, who is the chief of police in Hawkins and is a widower. Hopper is gruff and grumpy on the outside, but he has a soft spot for kids and he becomes a father figure to Elle. He's also really brave and puts himself in danger to save Will and Joyce. Hopper is portrayed by David Harbour. Let's move on to Nancy Wheeler, who is Mike's older sister and one of the main characters. Nancy is beautiful and smart, and she's dating the popular kid in school, Steve. She's also really brave, and she doesn't let the fact that she's a girl stop her from doing what she wants to do. Nancy is portrayed by Natalia Dyer. And lastly, let's talk about Jonathan Byers, Will's older brother. Jonathan is brooding and mysterious, and he has a really complicated relationship with his mom. He's also a great photographer, and he takes pictures of Will's friends to make a fake ID for Elle. Jonathan is portrayed by Charlie Heaton. Now let's move on to the main plot of Stranger Things. Like I said earlier, the main plot of Stranger Things is about a group of kids who search for their missing friend and in the process discover a lot of scary stuff going on in their town. One of the main conflicts in the story is between the kids and the adults. The adults, especially the police, aren't really helpful and often get in the way of the kids' efforts to find Will. This conflict is resolved when the kids are finally able to convince the adults to help them. Another major conflict in the story is between the kids and the Demogorgon, which is a monster from another dimension. The Demogorgon is really powerful and dangerous, and the kids have to use all of their strength and courage to defeat it. In the end, they're successful, and they're able to save Will and close the portal to the other dimension. One of the main themes in Stranger Things is friendship. The kids on this show are really lucky to have each other because they have to rely on each other to survive. They're able to overcome a lot of scary things by working together and supporting each other. Another major theme is bravery. The kids on this show have to be brave in order to save themselves and their friends. They face a lot of danger head-on, and don't let it stop them from doing what needs to be done. Now let's talk about some of the symbols used in Stranger Things. One of the most important symbols is the Demogorgon. The Demogorgon represents all of the evil and darkness that's present in Hawkins. It's a really powerful and scary monster that the kids have to face in order to save themselves and their town. Another important symbol is the portal to the Upside Down, which is the alternate dimension where the Demogorgon lives. The portal represents the unknown and all of the scary things that could happen if the kids aren't careful. Now let's move on to the ending of Stranger Things Season 1. The ending of Stranger Things Season 1 is both satisfying and open-ended. The kids are successful in saving Will and closing the portal to the Upside Down, but it's clear that there's still a lot of evil in Hawkins. The final scene of the season shows that Will's doppelganger is living in his body, and it's implied that he could come back at any time. This leaves the audience with a sense of unease and makes us wonder what will happen next. Overall, Stranger Things is an amazing show that's full of suspense, mystery, and horror. It's really well written, and the characters are really complex and interesting. If you haven't seen it yet, I highly recommend it. And if you have seen it, I hope you enjoyed this summary and recap. What is your favorite thing about Stranger Things? Let me know in the comments below. And if you want to watch more videos like this one, then please subscribe. Thanks for watching. Bye.